I'll give you an example. It's like Mother Teresa. If you read her book, I've read several versions many times. She gets millions and millions and millions of dollars in donations. Millions. People just write her $1 million checks. World famous people come and meet her. Everybody. Anybody wants to go and meet her. But it wasn't like that 30, 40 years ago when she started her holy mission. My point is, when she started the holy mission, and towards the middle and towards the end, she remained exactly the same. Material items, getting them, didn't make her happy or not happy. It didn't make her excited or depressed. People coming and meeting her didn't make her excited or depressed. When she got all these funds, I read many times and I saw her in movies. She would say immediately, "Oh, I know where I can give this to. I'm so happy." Sometimes when she wanted a piece of land and she couldn't get it, she would actually go into the Indian minister's office. She would go from Calcutta to Delhi. From Delhi, she would walk into the minister's office and sit there. This diminutive little teeny lady would just say, "I want this piece of land there." And the minister would be very respectful because they know who she is, and say, "No, I can't give that to you. That's prime land. That's 70 acres you're asking for, and it's in Delhi." And she said, "No, I must have this for the lepers." What is the government doing for the lepers? No offense to you. Then said, "Our government is not very rich and we're having problems and we have all these blah, blah, blah." That's why I want to do it. I'm not criticizing the government. I'm trying to say, can I please help these people? Because while you're having your meetings, these people are dying in the streets with no dignity. And they're spreading the disease. So let me help. Let me have that piece of land. What's the difference? If you were to pay all that, if you sold them and got all that money and gave it to them, or you gave me the land and I'll raise the funds, I'll raise the places, I'll give them dignity, I'll get the jobs, I'll get the workers in there. And ministers went in and talked, came out and said, "I offer to you." Then he said something like, "I'll give you 40. She says, "No, I want 70. And she said it very seriously. She says, "No, I want 70. He says, "Please, great mother, please, 50. She says, 70. He says, "Okay, 70. And you gotta read this. You cry. Because why? She's so greedy. No one gets offended. No one gets upset. And they respect her for her greediness because they know what it's for. So when she doesn't get something, she's upset and she's unhappy because of the pain of the result of what she wanted to do with it. And people like that who get millions of dollars, a lot of respect, a lot of care, and everybody just looks at them. It doesn't affect them. Why? The reason for getting these things are very different. Very different. She gets depressed too. She gets depressed because she couldn't get over to Afghanistan. They're having a war and people are dying. She wants to go there because of political reasons. They don't allow her because she's Christian to go and help. She's upset about that. We're upset because we made it to a movie late and we missed 20 minutes. So we're depressed and we're screaming at our friends. We're depressed because we have $10 million in a bank and someone asks us to buy them dinner. That's what we get depressed and unhappy about. Why? That's our mind. So the secret to anger, real anger. I'm not talking about anger you use as a method to help. I'm not talking about sadness as a method to help. I'm not talking about gifts as a method to help. I'm talking about real anger, real sadness, real depression comes from attachment to outer things. That attachment to outer things is because we still believe that if we have this, we have this, we have this, we will be happy. Although the evidence around us is so clear, even without Dharma, if we open our eyes. Because a lot of worldly people, as they get older, some people even, they're smart, they start to let go of a lot of things. They let go of a lot of things. You know why? Because through life, through the school of hard knocks, they realize, no, it doesn't make me happy. And a lot of them will say, I've heard hundreds say when they enter the Dharma in America, if I only knew these teachings 20 years ago, I would have created so much less problems for me, my friends, and people around me. You hear that? So people get very excited about things. They jump up and down, observe them. And they should observe themselves. How much they get depressed, how much they get unhappy. And they will be very erratic and inconsistent and very, very sketchy and unreliable in anything they do. And I'll tell you why. Because of depression and fear. Depression coming from disappointment, fear coming from more depression. They will be very erratic in whatever they do. Anything. And unstable. Their moods will be unstable, their relationship will be unstable, their commitments will be unstable, everything. And they will only do the bare minimum that they have to do, that they have no choice to do grudgingly to survive. And these type of people, when they wallow and they think about themselves again and again, they never improve. They go through a lifetime of either forgetfulness, lack of awareness, non-committal, not achieving anything, not moving on, not doing anything. And even they don't commit anything or they don't achieve anything on the outside, it's all right. It's all right, but you have to achieve something on the inside. You can't go through your whole life blaming everything and everyone and yourself also, and not achieve anything on the inside and outside. Because if you tell anybody who has any type of wisdom, they will penetrate you and they'll say no. The reason is because of your extreme grasping toward permanence, which does not exist. When we meditate on that and we collect merits towards realizing that, it will become better and better and better and better and better. You know what will happen? You will remain essentially the same. If you dress like a prostitute, you will continue dressing like a prostitute. But you know what? Your whole reason will be different. And when you don't dress like one, or you have or don't have, you won't be unhappy anymore. You see a fundamental difference. You'll continue getting angry. You'll continue, but your anger will be used to benefit. It will not be used to harm. And you'll notice that when you get angry at people, and other people get angry, one has a result, one doesn't. Oh yes, you will see. I'll give you an example that's very worldly. When our mothers get angry at us, what results does it bring? We do what she wants, and usually it's very good things because our mother's very holy. Usually. I mean, there is that kind of example in the world. For realized beings, when they get angry, or they shout, or they tell you off, what are they shouting about? What are they unhappy about? You have to think all the time. And then, you still like foods, you still like to go trips, go shopping, you still like to make money and save money, you still like all of that. But I'll tell you what happens. You'll do everything as you are. But it doesn't create suffering, and it will benefit others. And by you doing this, by you getting angry, going shopping, keeping money, making money, you will in fact collect merit. Why? The whole intention is different. You're kind of like a vampire. You know vampires, when they get bitten, after they become vampires, they remain essentially the same. If they are beautiful, they're beautiful, right? And if they like wine, they'll still like wine. If they like music, You know, whatever they are as a vampire, before and after, they're exactly the same. The only difference is their reason to live now is different. And their reason for enjoying and doing things is different. I mean, that's a very rough example. You see what I mean? So that's what happens when you meditate and focus on impermanence. And you do spiritual actions that go towards collection of merit and the purification of demerit, which will cripple your habituation. When you go through practices that purify demerit, purification practices, purificatory practices, when you go through that sincerely with the 4 opponent powers, it will cripple your habituations. And people have that fear. When you talk about Dharma and you tell people, oh, you can't be attached, you can't have this, you can't have that, people go into real big fears. A lot of Westerners, they go through a lot of fear. And the reason for that is because they're not based in a culture where frugality or simplicity or hiding wealth is a virtue. There you have to flaunt it. You know, look at Madonna videos. You know, it's like flaunt everything. Everything you have, you flaunt. So, like that, similarly, in the East is not better either, because you hide everything you have, or it's not good to show it. But what's the difference? East and West is just opposite extremes. In the East, you have to be more deceptive. I don't have, my food's not good, my house is not good, but they expect you to say something. That it is good, it is wonderful. If you don't, they freak out. In the West, they just tell you straight out, isn't it fabulous? I'm fabulous, the house is fabulous, my food's I'm fabulous. And if you don't agree, they freak out too, or they tell you, why aren't I fabulous? I mean, in the East, they say, no, it's not good. Oh, no, it's... Then you say, oh, your dinner's delicious, Auntie. She says, no, it's not good. It's just something I threw together. She's been working whole week. But if you don't keep complimenting her profusely, Auntie's going to be very upset. But in the West, they cut all through the crap and they tell you straight, my food's fabulous. I'm a great cook. I'm wonderful. But That's their way of self-assuring themselves by saying that I am good and please recognize it. And of course, if you don't agree, there's a debate. You're not very good, because they go, what? What's the difference? It's the manifestation of samsara. So for me, it doesn't make any difference at all if you look at it very deep. And if you want happiness, if you want contentedness, and you want your mind to be calm, if you want all this, and you want to enjoy items that supposedly bring you suffering, then you realize impermanence, and you understand that anything and nothing can bring you happiness, being attached to it. If you understand and you realize this, and you focus on it, you will start seeing your mind come down. That is definite. So the secret here is not having or going for something. The secret here is the reason you should have it. And the reason you should have it is not as simple as something intellectual. The reason you should have it is the motivation behind it, based on understanding impermanence, based on understanding grasping, based on understanding why these things make our mind unhappy. Actually, I said that wrong. Why our mind become unhappy because of these things. It's not these things. So if you look at it that way, if we understand this, a lot of people, that's psychotherapy. That's Buddha psychotherapy. And if we realize that, the signs for people will be, and I'm talking generality because people are people, there's only these few things that can manifest. People will become less depressed. They'll get along with other people better. They'll gain more courage to do things they're afraid of. They'll definitely have less anxiousness. They'll be consistent. They'll keep their commitments. And they'll be less angry. They'll be less emotional. They'll accept things more. Their bitterness will be much less, if not eradicated. And they can have everything that they're comfortable with. But when they don't have, it will make very little difference. And they're able to share what they have. And when they can share what they have, they will see their spiritual practice grow. It's this grasping that stops people from growing spiritually. You can do many, many spiritual practices. You can do the most profound. It will not make one inkling of a difference in your mind. If it is done with grasping in your mind, it will not make a difference. The key is not the spiritual practice. The key is the spiritual practice. Help you realize the real spiritual practice. Spiritual practice, spirit of the spirit. Practice is what? Being accustomed to something that we're not accustomed to. And once we become accustomed to, it is our natural state of mind. Natural state. And then that's why you become. You see, you're not forcing yourself to come back to something unnatural. You're not forcing yourself to go back to something that is not part of you. That's why when we see a beautiful story on TV and newspaper, we cry. Even the most selfish people feel slightly touched. Even the most miserly businessman will give some donations to someone. Why? Because their real nature is kindness. Their real nature is non-attachment. So therefore, if you're forcing someone back, that is wrong. You're directing people or yourself back to who you really are. And that is true. So therefore, when people make excuses, Dharma is very hard. It's very hard to be this way, that way. It's not very hard. It's that you're not used to it. Going and doing something virtuous is hard because we're not used to it. It's not because that's not our nature. If that is our true nature, then we don't need to talk about enlightenment and Buddha. We don't need to talk about godliness and going to heaven. We don't need to talk about the Quran or the Bible. Why? All of that is helping us go back to our true nature. And that's what Jesus talked about his whole life. And if you remember, just before his crucifixion, he was in front of the temple, the holy temple of Israel, and he actually said, He gave a sermon outside. And he actually says, you have eyes, yet you cannot see. You have ears, yet you cannot hear. The kingdom of heaven is before you. There are many people in the audience going, where? I don't see it, my Lord. Where? Where is the kingdom of heaven? Where? And he said, it is in front of you. It is right before you, the kingdom of heaven. And what is the kingdom of heaven? He's not talking about a physical outer place at that moment. He's talking about letting go. He's talking about acceptance. He's talking about liberation. And all the things that he taught, such as love thy neighbor, do not bear false witness. If they hit you on the, I keep mixed up the cheek, but if they hit you on the left cheek, offer them the right cheek. What does that mean? That's not the practice. That is the approach to realize the practice. That's why true Christians, and there are many, they don't get stuck on the practices. And therefore, if you don't do it, they hold the Bible and they go like that to you. They do like that to you. Why? They haven't realized the practice. They're stuck on the practice. And they think that the practice itself is the spiritual path. They think that doing that Sabbath on Friday, not eating meat on Friday or something, and they think going to church on Sunday, and they think that reading the Bible, and they think that by following the commandments, and they think that by taking refuge in Jesus, that is Christianity, that is the core, that is the practice, and that will liberate them. But you see, they don't have to get rid of selfishness, grasping, desire, hatred, revenge. They don't have to get rid of that, because if they follow the rules, they are enlightened. They will go to heaven. And that's why they fight. But if you look at real practitioners, and I always use this example because we all know about it. If we look at Mother Teresa, she doesn't get stuck on the path there or the method, but she has achieved it. That's why she's not uptight about if you don't do this and do that and do that and do this. There's a lot of Christians out there that are very, very uptight, extremely uptight, and that's not what Jesus is about. Jesus didn't walk around with a carrot up his butt. You can't do this, you can't do that. He was free. He was open. He was liberated. And he loved everyone. Do you know why? Because he let go and he was liberated. And you can feel it from him. You can feel it from his words. Even from actors who play him, you can feel his energy from him. That is real Jesus we're trying to achieve. So a lot of people miss that in many religions. And if you meet religious people of every religion, really if you do, I have met, they're very different than normal people. Every religion. Every